ones of the 239 passengers and crew, Malaysians and the world, on the 34th day of the MH370 disappearance. There is the CNN report last night that the RMAF had scrambled its search aircraft on the morning of the missing MS Boeing 777. It should be 777. It should not 737, 777, 777. Made the correction at around 8 a.m. but did not inform authorities until 3 days later, and the denial by the Defence Minister Hishammudin. Quoting a senior Malaysian government official and another source involved in the investigation, CNN reported last night that Malaysian Air Force search aircraft were scrambled at around 8 a.m. soon after MAS reported that its plane was missing early March the 8th. It reported the aircraft was scrambled before authorities could corroborate data indicating the Boeing 777 turned westward from its northbound flight path. The unnamed source stated RMAF had informed the department, the DCA, had not informed the DCA or search and rescue operations until 3 days later on March the 11th. It further reported that the MH370 disappeared from military radar for some 120 nautical miles after its crossed back over peninsular Malaysia. And based on available data, this means the plane must have dipped in altitude to between 4,000 to 5,000 feet, claimed the senior government official. Hishammudin has denied the CNN report and described it as false allegation. Who is right, Hishammudin or CNN? Unless CNN is prepared to name the senior Malaysian government official and another source to substantiate its report, it will be difficult for anyone to accept it as gospel truth. But the bare denial by Hishammudin, after the drips and drabs of information being doled out, clarifications, confusions and contradictions, frequent twists and turns and flip-flops, and the vast black holes of information in the past 35 days of the MH370 disaster is just not adequate, satisfactory or acceptable. If an opposition-headed Parliamentary Select Committee on the MH370 had been set up before the Dewan Rakyat adjourned yesterday, it would be a proper body to investigate into the veracity or otherwise of the CNN report that RMAF had scrambled its search aircraft on the morning of the missing Malaysian Airlines Boeing 777, but did not inform the authorities until 3 days later, and come up with a credible and authoritative report to back Hishammudin's denial and put all doubts on the matter to rest. In fact, there is a signal from MH370. In fact, the Parliamentary Select Committee could not only inquire whether RMAF had scrambled search aircraft on the morning of March the 8th at about 8 a.m., but also, 1, whether or why there was no scrambling of RMAF search aircraft when the military radar tracked MH370 as having diverted from its course from KL to Beijing, when in the first few minutes between 1:40 and 1:45 a.m., at least 2 RMAF Sukhoi 30s from Gong Kedah in Terengganu could have been scrambled to intercept the jetliner in Kelantan airspace. And 2, why a second chance was lost to intercept the plane when it approached Penang, when it was picked up on the military radar in Butterworth, although the RMAF with its FA squadron was on 24-hour standby at the airbase. This is about 2:40 a.m. These and many other questions have been waiting for answer in the past 35 days of the MH370 disaster. But as I said in Parliament, in the presence of the PM and Hishammudin on March 25th, in his condolence motion for the passengers and crew, I agreed that the utmost priority must continue to be given to SAR, Search and Rescue Operation, and the many questions that have arisen about the whole tragedy, including the crisis management, can wait until the discovery of the aircraft and hopefully the passengers and crew on board. This is now 35th day of the MH370 disaster. I've just received reports that a Perth radio station has announced unconfirmed reports that says that Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 black box has been found, and quoting an aviation expert as saying that if these unconfirmed reports are firm enough to say we have located the black box, there is enough for them to launch the Bluefin 21 to go down to the bottom and take photographs or scan the bottom with a sonar scanner. I hope there is not another false alarm, as the families for the 239 passengers and crew are waiting for a closure. However, after 35 days of the MH370 disaster, I believe we have come to a stage where even the families and the loved ones of the 239 passengers and crew on board MH370 will want answers to all the 1,001 questions that have surfaced about the whole tragedy, instead of waiting for a finality and full closure of the tragedy with the discovery of the black box or wreckage. And this process of finding answers to these questions should begin without any delay. In these circumstances, the CNN report and Hishammudin's denial, the RMAF had scrambled search aircraft on the morning of March the 8th had fueled further doubts about the government's readiness to be fully transparent following the reneging of promises to brief Pakatan Rakyat MPs and the refusal to establish a Parliamentary Select Committee on MH370. For these reasons, I will call on the Prime Minister to honour his word that Malaysia has nothing to hide by honouring two broken promises so far: an authoritative briefing to Pakatan Rakyat MPs on the MH370 tragedy, and the establishment of an opposition-headed Parliamentary Select Committee on MH370. Thank you. Anything to say?
Yeah. Just, since the Hishammudin has given a bare denial to CNN reports, I want Hishammudin to respond to an article published 5 days ago in Utusan. 5 days ago, Utusan Malaysia Assistant Editor Ku Hussin, he wrote in his article that he says, I quote, he said CIA, the US CIA had a hand in planning the 911 attacks, so it was possible that the CIA could be linked to the disappearance of MH370. That was the Utusan Malaysia Assistant Editor assertion. He was implying that CIA might have had a hand in this MH370. But until now, our Malaysian government, the authority, especially Hishammudin, has said nothing. So I want Hishammudin to respond to this assertion by the Utusan Malaysia.
I think it's a very serious allegation. Of course, that conspiracy theory has been around on the internet for quite some time, but the very fact that it has been published in the official mouthpiece of UMNO gives it a different dimension altogether. And I think it's a certain reflection of a governmental position on it. And I think this and many other conspiracy theories must be dealt with. And a Parliamentary Select Committee on MH370 will be a proper body to go through all the conspiracy theories that surface and to give to investigate them. And I think this is the least that we can do for a closure for the families and the loved ones of the 239 passengers and the crew, as well as other important national and international aspects. Any other questions?
Did Hishammudin bring any reasonable explanation to opposition leaders why there's no briefing for regarding the aircraft of 370?
He has said nothing. It's all from Shahidan that he couldn't get the Hishammudin to agree, although Hishammudin himself has publicly promised. He said that if PR MPs make the request, he would honour it, and the very fact that he has broken it, I think raised many questions, and I don't think this is good for Malaysia's very serious position now because of great doubts about transparency, about system and governance. The opposition, the Pakatan Rakyat, we are prepared to fully cooperate on a national disaster. And they should not have any doubts or suspicion that we are traitors, we are out to do what is harmful for the country. Because if an opposition-headed Parliamentary Select Committee, for instance, can investigate and come up with a credible report upholding, for instance, what Hishammudin has said, I think this will be not only to his credibility, to the credibility of the country, and good for the country as well. So I think they should be more nationalistic in their approach. We are all Malaysians, we are all members of parliament, we all love this country, we want the best for this nation of ours.
Hishammudin has denied that he pointed his finger on a small minister. What do you have to say about this?
I don't think it's worth pursuing that. You know that I will not tell the untruth. Okay, leave it at that.
With regards to the suit by DAP to ROS, do you think that the ROS is playing double standards? Because there's a similar scenario in MICs where there are discrepancies in their polls, but there's no action taken so far. But when it comes to DAP, ROS is way too fast taking action.
I think there is no doubt that if ROS upholds the law and goes by the law, probably all the Barisan National component parties will have to be dissolved because they have been guilty of a host of illegalities and breaches of the law, whether it is UMNO, MCA, MIC, or the other component parties. So I think that's very clear. Everybody can see. And very fact that in this case of DAP, you have Shafi Abdullah being roped in, which of course is going to grade the public expenses, raises a very important question whether the whole exercise in order to destroy the DAP has been outsourced. And I think this is an unhealthy practice because it's something which a government lawyer should be able to do. You should not require extra expenditure of public funds up and down the country to try to deal with the opposition. Okay.
With regards to Kajamu, any comments on that?
No comment. Kajamu, you must ask the PKR people.
Okay. And then on Hudud, the move to bring the private bill to pass Kelantan's Hudud. Any comments on that?
Well, the last few days, the MCA leaders have been very outspoken and suddenly seem to have discovered issue against the DAP. Challenging DAP leader like myself to declare our stand on the Hudud. The DAP stand on the Hudud remains unchanged. So our position is very clear that Hudud is not suitable for a multiracial, multi-religious society like Malaysia, that it is against the secular constitution of Malaysia, and it's not part of the Pakatan Rakyat policy consensus, and therefore there is no change in the DAP's position or of any of the DAP leaders or DAP MPs. Our position remains the same as in the past. So if the MCA leaders suddenly find that they need to go to kindergarten to know what is our position, please read up our statements, and we follow our archives for them. We are prepared to give MCA leaders, including their president and his deputy president, a kindergarten course about the DAP stand on Hudud and other matters. We will give it free of charge also.
Did you receive any explanation from PAS regarding your stand on the Hudud?
No, our position is clear. I mean, that's why it's not part of the Pakatan Rakyat common policy platform. I mean, we respect each party have their own different positions outside the common policy platform, but we are bound only by our common policy platform, and That does not mean that the individual component parties cannot have other positions on other issues. Because if that is the case, there's no need for three separate parties. We have only one party. But as far as Pakatan Rakyat is concerned, we are only bound by our common policy platform, and that is a very simple and straightforward. But somehow there are people who do not understand that.
Are you saying that MCA leaders, the current leadership, they are unaware of DAP stand on Twitter all the while? That's why you want to give them.
Well, I would say that if you do not understand what is our position, is very clear, position unchanged. We have stated many a time. We are prepared to give them to give the MCA president and MCA deputy president a free kindergarten course in politics. Since they keep asking, so that we can save them from keep asking, we'll give them a free kindergarten course.